Hello, good morning. Rev Renee here with True Thought Spiritual Community. Thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of myself and Brother T, who is my husband and co-founder of True Thought Spiritual Community, I say welcome. I also want to say happy birthday to True Thought Spiritual Community. Happy birthday, us. We celebrated our 1-year anniversary on July 1st. And so I just invite you, if you have found value in our messages, to please share them, to please like them, and to please contribute to our ministry, because we are ready for a fabulous year too, and it doesn't happen without you. And so I also want to do a shout out to our founding members, John and Colleen Comvry, and our members of the board of trustees, myself, Brother T, and Colleen Comvry and Jason Keaton. And so what's really cool is that you're going to begin to hear more of their voices on True Thought. And if you haven't already, Jason Keaton delivered a message a couple weeks ago, and Rev Colleen Comvry delivered a beautiful message called The Gift last week. And so you will hear more voices in addition to ours, bringing forth our True Thought teaching. And so I just want to say, I love you. I love our family. I love our friends. I love those who are joining us here today. And you might say, how is it that you can say I love you if I don't know you? I love you. I love the essence of who we each are. And that's what we celebrate here at True Thought, that we know that we are one, that we are connected in a consciousness. And so we celebrate that every week. And today I'd like to dedicate this message to my mother. And my mother's name, Joyce Helene Kovachev Tamber. And so this is for you, Mom. I love you. Thank you for the gift that you gave me. So let's just take a breath together. Let's bless this time. And so we turn within to the changeless. We turn within to the eternal. We turn within to our divine nature. We turn from that which changes, that which is ego identity, and we turn within to the truth that sets us free, that God and I, Creator and I, are one. Take a breath with me. Say to the self, God and I are one. Spirit and I are one. Love and I are one. Take a breath and feel that. I offer my message. I offer this conversation. I offer the experience on behalf of all of us to that one, to this unified field of consciousness, where all things are possible, where there is only love as the reality of all that is, and we experience joy and joyfulness. This is what we choose in this moment, in this day. And taking a breath, I bless this time together. I call it good and very good. Something wonderful is happening. We just let it be. And so it is. Amen. So here we go. I wanted to begin with a statement that was quoted by my husband, Brother T, early on in our relationship, and what he would say to myself and to the classes that we would teach. And it would be such a profound statement. And it is this: you are perfect. You are perfect, neither behind that point of perfection nor advancing toward it. And you must see yourself therefrom. Say it with me. I am perfect. I am neither behind that point of perfection nor am I advancing toward it. And I must see myself therefrom. Now, herein lies our salvation, our freedom, our divine identity. Now, the argument of the ego is, how can the human self be perfect? It isn't. And I would agree with it, but there is a seed of perfection inherent within each of us. And it is how we were created. And it is a blessing and a joy to declare and to say, I am and remain as God created me, which is perfect. You are as God created you, which is perfect, which is eternal, which is beautiful, which is joyful and happy. And that is our inheritance. That is our birthright. That is the perfection that we are. God doesn't make the imperfect and the changing and the that which does not last. God only creates of itself from love, and that is what we are. So I begin with that because in this month of July 2021, we celebrate the idea of freedom. And this is where our freedom lies. Our freedom lies in this identity that we must claim and must see ourselves therefrom. And in our spiritual journeys, in our human experience, we're always looking outside of ourselves and always trying to fix ourselves. Don't you just believe that something's wrong with you at times? I know for myself that's something that I have carried with me, and that's been part of my healing. And I get to heal that when I focus my attention, my awareness, and my thoughts upon my divine identity. And it's not to puff myself up, but it is a divine humility of remembering my identity. And then in that identity, I can be who I came here to be. So the cornerstone of our teaching is always to return to that divine identity. And this is where our freedom lies. You see, if we are as God created us, we are created as spirit in spirit, having chosen a human experience, but first and foremost, an eternally spirit. And as spirit, we are unlimited and free. And that we get to choose our experience. We chose this experience. And in this taking responsibility for choosing our experience of life and how our perspective is where our freedom lies. So last week, my friend, Reverend Colleen Comfrey, gave a beautiful message called The Gift. I encourage you to see it if you haven't already here on this station. And the gift, she said, is you. The gift is you. The gift is me. My husband will always say, look for the gift. Look for the gift in circumstances and situations in our lives that seem to suggest that things are not good, that we are not perfect. Look for the gift. A few weeks ago, I had the privilege and honor of creating and delivering and facilitating my mom's memorial, her celebration of life. Joyce, my mom. She passed in November of 2020, and we celebrated her a few weeks ago, June 13th, 2021. And when I was asked to do this, I immediately said yes. but didn't realize that it would be challenging to do my own mother's memorial. My mother and I were very close. I loved her so much, and she was the love of my life, a first love of my life, is what I would always say. I loved my mother from the moment I saw her, from the moment I was within her being. I believe I chose her to be in this experience. And so to actually do her memory brought me face to face with those ideas of death, those ideas of loss that we say are not real or true. Not that we don't experience them, but they are not the truth of our being. And so I had this opportunity to learn and to discern what were the gifts of this experience. And there were many, many gifts. But here's what I want to share with you today. My mother's name, Joyce. There's a resonance in our names. And what I learned in practitioner training was that our name represents our nature. And that's why in so many cultures, individuals and couples and tribes are conscious of how they name their children, because they know that a name carries with it a vibration, and that vibration is symbolic of the individual. And so it's been a while that I've known that my mother's name, that the root of her name means joy, Joyce. That was in many ways her gift, and also her challenge in her life was to choose joy, to be the embodiment of her namesake, to choose joy over pain in her life. And she had many conditions and many experiences in life that were challenging for her. And it was challenging to make that choice. And as her daughter, I watched that. And I felt for her, because at times I was so enmeshed with her experience that I took on her pain and forgot to choose joy for myself. So as I was preparing this memorial, and actually it was the day before where this download just came to me. It was such a gift. And I heard these words in her voice. And she said to me, "Do this in memory of me. Do this in memory of me." Do what? Honor my namesake. Be joy. Be joyful in your life. Choose joy instead of pain in your life. Be that embodiment. It's your birthright. It's the gift. The second thing she said to do in memory of her was to love what she loved most in her life, and that was her daughters. To love her daughters, to love my sisters. And the conclusion of the memorial, spoken to everyone, but to my sisters in particular, is that was the gift of my mother and my father. The gift was each other, and to love each other. What a great gift to choose joy and to love one another. Being raised a Catholic girl in the Catholic tradition, and for those of you who may not know, the phrase, "do this in memory of me," is something that we do before we receive communion, the holy sacrament of communion. Now, communion we'll have to do a whole talk on that, because there is a way that I like to teach communion, but for the Catholics, it's, the consumption and the joining of the body and blood of Christ. And that can sound very barbaric, and to those who are not familiar with the practice and even those who are. And all I know for me is that what I took from it was this. Right before we would receive communion, we would utter the words, Lord, I am not worthy to receive you, but only say the word and I shall be healed. The beginning of that phrase, Lord, I am not worthy to receive you, was what I took from that experience, what I made it mean. And as I grew up, I rejected the whole concept of my Catholic faith and that practice. And what I took from it was that I was not worthy. I was not worthy to receive. That belief system caused a lot of pain in my life. The belief in my imperfection, the belief in my unworthiness, as I look back on my life, became a block to my experiencing the truth of who I am, how we began this conversation as a holy, beloved child of God, and whose inheritance is the happiness and joyfulness. And so we must see ourselves as worthy, as perfect, as holy, beloved children of God, in order to actually be able to receive the gifts that are already given. To be able to choose joy because you know that you are so worthy of it, because you know that it is your birthright, because you know it is actually your nature over the pain that we have created. And the pain only comes from one thing. And one thing only. So we'll make it really easy. The pain comes from a misperception of self. We forgot who we are. It is a denial of our divine identity. That's what causes the pain. That's what causes all the pain that we experience, whether physical, mental, or emotional pain. Because that sense of denial of our divine identity separates us from our source. And that is the source of our happiness, our joy, of who and what we are and how we serve in this experience. The pain then multiplies by our fearfulness because it's so frightening to be separated from our source. And we numb ourselves out with with addictions and with distractions and with unhealthy coping mechanisms. And that fear then multiplies and it takes form in our lives because thoughts are things. What we focus on increases. It becomes, A Course in Miracles says it this way, it becomes the ransom that we pay to not be free. We pay the ransom with our pain so that we bind ourselves and imprison ourselves in a world that we have made that is disconnected from our divine identity. So take a breath with me. Whew. Thank God. Thank God that we remain as God created us. Thank Creator, thank love, thank Spirit that we remain as God created, that whole drama, that whole choosing of turning away from our divine identity and believing ourselves to be unworthy, and the whole drama that becomes our life and our world that was created is nothing in God, is nothing in the mind of God, that we cannot take away one cubit of what and who we are. Thank God for this. And so we celebrate that today. And that we have the ability to think independently of circumstances. So As we celebrate freedom this month, as I honor my mother by choosing joy over pain and to love not only my biological sisters, but my brothers and sisters, and to view myself as worthy and perfect innately as God created me. How do we reclaim that freedom? And I've already said it. We return to the beginning. We return to our divine identity. I am as God created me. That is changeless no matter what you've done, no matter what's been done to you as you believe it to be, no matter what belief system you've been operating from, like I'm unworthy to receive. Whatever that is for you, it matters not. Return to source, return to divine identity. That's always step one here at True Thought, that I am as God created me. I am spirit. I am unlimited and free. Nothing occurs in my experience except that which I have called forth. You see, I'm responsible, not in a way to blame myself, but in a way to set me free, because then I can choose again. It's not being done to me. It's done unto me as I believe, which leads to step two, that thoughts are things. That's one of our spiritual principles here. Thoughts are things. We revisit this. And I want to share a quote with you that connects it to our overarching topic. Thoughts are things, yes. And then take a breath with me and listen to this reading from A Course in Miracles. It is your thoughts alone that cause your pain. It is your thoughts alone that cause your pain. Nothing external to your mind can hurt or injure you in any way. There is no cause beyond yourself that can reach down and bring oppression. No one but yourself affects you. There is nothing in the world that has the power to make you ill or sad or weak or frail. But it is you who have the power to dominate all things, to see by merely recognizing what you are. The power comes in the recognizing, in the remembering again what you are, which is step one, divine identity. You are Christ. That's that seed of perfection hid within each of us. Christ in potential is within each of us. Let it grow. Let that be the identity that you focus on, that we focus on. There may be argument here with the idea that nothing external to us can cause our pain, our suffering, the illnesses that we experience. It sure seems like it, doesn't it? But I am here to tell you that we have the power to choose joy over pain. Every moment we return to our divine identity and we remember that we are the creator of our experience, and we can choose new thoughts, that these thoughts are indeed things. The third aspect of this that leads us to this freedom to be able to choose joy over pain is that all of the events of the world are neutral. All of these events are neutral. If you imagine yourself to be standing in a pool of water, and that water is clear and it is still, it's almost like glass. And you're standing in this water and you're tall, and that this water represents the crystal clear consciousness, the pool of awareness of your consciousness. And that those thoughts as things are things that we drop into this pool of awareness. Now, I dropped in the pool of awareness, even subconsciously and unconsciously. I am unworthy to receive. And so I plop that in and plop that in and imagine that it ripples out, and it ripples out to reach the edges of the physical form of the world. And then, being a reflective universe, it comes back to me. And then it reflects back to me all of the reasons, all of the rationales that will support that thought form that I kerplunked into that water. Now, this is based on the Way of Mastery teaching, lesson 8 for those of you who are studying with us. But that's the thoughts are things and all events are neutral. I can just as easily begin to kerplunk into that field, that pool of awareness. I am Christ. I am beauty. I am love. I am worthy to receive. I receive the gifts of the kingdom now. I receive that which is already my inheritance. I choose joy. I release pain, and those ripples will go out. And then they'll come back, and the evidence supporting it will be revealed to me, and it will support that belief system. This is our key to freedom, that we have the power through these couple of principles. Divine identity, thoughts are things, all events are neutral. Through those principles, we actually have the freedom that is our innate nature. But we also can bind ourselves and imprison ourselves with those same principles, the thoughts are things principle. So we must begin to practice with vigilance to declare our independence from thought forms that are not true, that are lies, that are based in fear. We declare our independence from that which is false. We declare our independence from the ego thought system based in fear. We lay down our coping mechanisms that keep us safe in an unsafe world. We lay down our defenses, and we come freely and stand in that pool of awareness and be who we came here to be. We declare our independence from the world of form. We declare our independence from effects. And then we declare our dependence upon our source, upon our divine identity, that God and I are one. And we practice kerplunking into this pool of the thoughts of God, the thoughts of love. Now, my beloved brother T is going to complete this conversation next week and unpack even more for us that all events are neutral, because that can be a tough one for us. But my suggestion is this week that we just practice returning to our divine identity and practice becoming aware of the thoughts that we think that we are kerplunking into our pool of awareness. And just notice, no blame. You see, as we do this, we can absolutely choose joy over fear and over pain. That this joyfulness is what I choose today, and I do it in memory of my mother Joyce. I do it in memory of Jesus the Christ. I do it in memory of who we are, that we've forgotten. I do these things in memory of the Christ, of the only begotten, of the source of all that is. I do this in memory of who I am and who I've always been. And then I love you. I love you, sister, brother. I love you. And I practice those things. That's it, those things. And I watch as the pain melts away because there's nothing giving it cause anymore. And I watch as the world reflects back to me and the universe supports me in my joyfulness. Because it is from this joyfulness that I can be of optimal service in the world. I love you. May you be filled with joy and joyfulness this day. May you love all of those around you. May you experience that love and joyfulness as it returns to you, pressed down and multiplied as it grows and expands. Thank you so much for being with me during this conversation. I love you. God bless you. We'll see you next week. Namaste.
Today, all that I bring today, I know that it's enough. Oh, I am born from the strength of love.